Today we are going to talk about how to install a MySQL database and a demo of MySQL database. And also we will download a database driver to connect from Java code to MySQL database. So I request you to click on these links and download the MySQL database and also take the version 901. Then click on the Visual Studio redistribution x.exe. After both softwares has been downloaded, install first RC distribution x64.exe and then install the MySQL database. I'm not going to show you how to install this because I have already installed in my computer. So once you install this in the software, your computer will be restarted and you click the some prompts, whatever it comes, to make your Windows to be active afterwards. So to install the software, let's first download the software. We go to the we take these links and go to your MySQL data into this community download and select a 901 innovations and select a Microsoft Windows operating system and download Windows x64 64-bit MSI installer. Click on this download button. So once you get this click, you get this prompted with this. You just say that just start my download afterwards, and the process takes some time to download the code, download the database exe. So wait for some time to be downloaded. So this has been downloaded in my computer right now. Similar way, I go to the next, copy this URL and paste it on the Windows. And I have downloaded the both software right now. Then go to your download folders. You will see the, based on your date selected, latest file. I have downloaded the VC redistribution X4 and MySQL 901 Windows. I have already installed this software, so I don't want to install. So I request both of everyone to first click on this exe and try to follow the prompts and install the software. And after this installation of the software, computer will restart. You need to click few prompts to make your computer back to normal state. Once it is completed, I'm canceling it now. Then come again to download folder. Click on this MySQL database. So we are technically installing a MySQL database, which is the open source and a free database. It is easy and very lightweight database to learn the SQL concepts. This is nothing to do with Java. This is a database concepts we are trying to explain here. The reason we are explaining this database is because we are working on a Java JDBC package. It means that our Java code has to communicate with database. That's why we are installing this database. So click the prompts and go to next and take a complete installation and install. Install the software in your computer. After it has been installed, click on the finish button. So now you have installed your MySQL database in your computer. Now we need to focus on how to configure the database. As soon as install, it will open a configuration dialog box like this. If does not come up like this, then go here and you get this MySQL configuration dialog box also. Otherwise, type here MySQL configuration dialog box. You'll get all these things. But since it is already open for me, so I'm going to configure the MySQL database. So technically, what we did is we installed a software. Where is this software located? We have already given. If you go to your program files, see that here is the software is being installed in our computer. This is the software, whatever installed our database, and it has a lot of code, and bin directory means all the exes, and docs about to learn about this database, some kind of documentation, and some libraries of this document of this database. We are not going to go here because this is developed by some company and they made it free to people to use it. So the location is that whenever you install, it will install our program files, MySQL database. After installing this MySQL database, generally whenever you want to start a MySQL database, you click on this MySQL database. You see the configuration window, whatever it is coming up here. It is technically located here actually. Even if you do from here, click this button, technically this is going to click this exe. Always bin folder contains the exes of any software. So now I'm just sharing this information so that generally you install a software, we don't know where it is stored, so that you get an understanding it where exactly they are storing it. Most of the time, program files. If you give a different folder, it will install the folder which we have selected. I hope you are clear as of now. Now I'm going to configure the database. Why do you want to configure database? We have configured a plain database. Within a database, you can create, when you need to log into database, you need to create a database user ID as password. We need to tell database where it is running, which port, like the way whenever you want to enter into any home, there is a main door, you enter into database, enter into the home. Similar way, if you want to enter into database, to connect to database, always you need two things. One is the host name where this database is being installed, and also we need to have a port name, which I'm going to talk about now. So I'm going to install. So this is the data directory. So if you go here and enter a path to data directory, begins with configuration file. So I have selected this same data directory, wherever it was installed. I'm not going to change it. You can change it if you want it. Why data directory is needed is this is where you store your data. Whatever data you are going to create, you create a table, all the data will going to store in this location. So I'll come to this part again, data directory, click on next. Here I have mentioned that the default it has been going to run on the port 3306. I can change the port whatever you want. I can select 3308 also if you want. It means it is running on that folder. So I make it default 3306. X protocol is another kind of a protocol. For the security purpose, we can use that protocol. So just focus on 3306. It is a TCP IP. TCP IP means any computer, our internet is running with a protocol called TCP IP. So you have a computer in India, I have a computer in US, and one person is in Japan. We all connected through internet. How the internet, if you get into the internet, they talk with a protocol called TCP IP protocol. The TCP IP protocol will helps to connect all the computers in the world. That's why we just normally we say internet, but internally, if you go to the network layer bottom, there is a protocol called TCP IP. Like the way we have whenever you want to use the a browser, we use a protocol called HTTP. That is the reason when you see that any URL here, whenever you see any URL, you always see a address bar which start with HTTPS. HTTP. S means secure. So web browser is using HTTP protocol, but whereas most of the applications they use the TCP/IP to connect with the computer to computer. Now, if you go to next, so I made it default. I'm not going to change anything here. So then I go to next. I need to log into the I need to create a user ID password. Like the way you log in, you sign up for your Gmail. Similar way, I need to sign up in a user ID password. Always the administrator user is root. User ID is root always. Like the way Windows have a administrative user, the database also administrative user, which has a complete powerful access. So default is a root. I'm setting a database password is test, TEST, and repeating this TEST. So I created a database password for the user called root. Here, so we have 4 people in our organization. I am the database owner. I created a password, test. I don't share with anyone. I keep it very secure. Suppose I want to give access to database to my one of employee. What I do, I create an users, our users. So I can make them as an administrator, or I can make them as a some kind of a developer, or they have many users. They have different kind of roles. I create the user and with a name, suppose like I gave like my skill, user. I create a user and I gave a may not be admin. I gave like some other access for him. He just monitor the database. If I give this kind of access, what will happen? And this guy cannot do many operations in the database. Only they can log into database and they look at it. They cannot insert the data. They cannot. They cannot they can read the data. They cannot delete the data. Why you need this kind of roles is because if you think in our banking application, you keep your money in our bank. The money of the details, your account details are storing in a database called account database, account table. Within that, you store your personal information, you store your Aadhaar card, you store your SSN, you store a lot of information. Only few people in the organization can have access, but other people can only do certain things. They cannot update your money. So that is the security reasons. They have different roles in the database. So we don't need to create right now database tables here, database different users. We will go with one user called test. Then I created a user called root and the password is test. Then I am going to configure next. Whenever we need to give a person is born, we need to give a name. I'm giving a name is here, MySQL 90 as a default. Here I can keep any name. I can keep like, XXXXX, anything you can give a name, some name to give a name for this database. What is the name for a database server? Name for your database server. And I keep it like, MySQL 90, whatever the default it came. And I go to next. So this is the granting access. I'm creating a different type of database. I choose anything and go next. So we did configuration now, all these things. Now we are going to execute it. We have not executed so far. Now I'm going to execute this all things, whatever I did. It takes some time to execute in my computer. So here writing a configuration file, updating a Windows firewall rules, adjusting the Windows service, initializing the database, updating permissions, starting the service, applying a security settings, upload the start menu links. You see start menu links, it is updating, means this is start menu. Updating example database. Everything has been done now. Now I go to the next. Now this configuration of the thing is been copied. Copy it to clipboard and click finish. So what is written in the clipboard? Let's watch this one. So what he has done in here is, after we run this, what it is saying that MySQL server has been started, attempting to start the service MySQL 90, successfully started service MySQL 90, and the version number is 901, and the process is 10144, and the port, we talked about port somewhere there with 33, the bind address is 3306, it has been binded. So you see the process 10144. Let's go to our task manager. If you go to task manager and process, we need to find out our database somewhere. So here we type this number 1010144. So here the application is already started, 10144 process ID. This is our database is started. You see that is running currently. So after this has been started, you can go to the services. You type services, Windows services. Click on the services. So it has created a services for you. Again, type MySQL. See that the service is already running. If you open the service, you can stop and start the database. Stop, it will stop it. Suppose I stop it, it's stopping my database now. Database has been stopped. It is not running anymore. So MySQL database is stopped here. You see that stopped. And if I go back to my process ID 10144, again I go back to task manager. So previously my task manager, it was running. Again I go to my task manager and enter the same process ID. You see that process ID is not anymore, means that I have stopped the database. If you want to start the database again, I click on services and open the services. My services has been opened. Search for my database, start with M. So I'm typing M and searching it. Somewhere it should be here. First, let me sort by name. Then I type M and MySQL database is there. And now I click on this. Now I'm trying to start the database. Now I'm starting the database again. Now status has been running now. My database is running right now in my computer. So this is how we can stop your database and you can start your database whenever you want to do in your computer. So now my database started now. Now I need to connect to the database. Again, if you want to connect to database, before connecting to database, let's go back to your again here folder. From here also you have a click on the configuration dialog. Configurations configuration. This is the actually whenever you stop and start database, you can get back to this location. To stop MySQL database, this is the actual command to stop and start. Even if you're doing from here, services, even stopping and starting database. Technically, it is doing is, it is calling this code and doing the work for you. Like the way if you want to connect to the database, and will be an connector actually here too. I can find from here. Let me, if you want to connect to database, click here. So generally you see the MySQL command line client is connected. Click on this. Right click on this and open a file location. You see here, it is located here. Where it is located here? To connect to the client, it is located under MySQL Server start menu. See programs data, Microsoft Windows start. Whatever is there, the start menu has been here. So whenever you want to connect, you can use this way to connect your command prompt to database. But we will try to connect like this. Now click on it. Now I got a prompt with user ID. What is the password we set to connect our database is test. So I type test. So now I have connected to the database, MySQL database. This is my database is connected. You see the prompts here. Now I can talk with the database now. Now this database is empty. There is no table at all. There is no data at all. It is empty database we created so far. Now we need to create some dummy data for our testing purpose. So in order to create some dummy data, first we need to create a database. So I create a database. Don't confuse with when I'm saying a database and creating a database. So I will explain here. So create a database and test database. So within a database, I can create a multiple databases. So right now we have created database server. We have installed a database server. Within the database server, you can partition. This is called the word they use called partition. In the partition, they create first a test DB. Like, in Java, we talked about packages, package contains a lot of Java classes. Similar concept in the database within the partitions contains the many tables. You can partition a database into a name with the test DB. Within that, I'm going to create a multiple tables. Like the way in example in the Java, we have a package. Within that, we have many classes. Like as I mentioned again, you have a grocery bucket. Within that, you keep a lot of your grocery items. You carry a bucket. Like you have a big cardboard. Within that, you keep a lot of your items and pack a cardboard. The same concept here. A database, creating a database test DB. I created test DB database. Now I want to create a one table actually. So I'm going to execute this command to create a table. So now I create a table. Create a table. I give a name testdb dot persons. It's a name. I can give in a name and open a bracket. I have a column person ID int last name data type. This is the data type varchar. First name varchar. Address is the string. Varchar means in Java we talk about the strings. In the equivalent data type in database is varchar, variable characters. City also a string. Actually, this is all the string, and we are defining a length of string 255 length is 255 can only to hold. I can define to 500, 600, however you want, you can configure it. Now, after this, I select the data. Select star from testdb/persons. So whenever I select right now, I don't see any data because it is empty. There is no data is there. I'm going to insert a data into database. So first I will insert a one row by using this command. So I inserted a one row, insert into a testdb.person. Insert into, so simple English word, a testdb.person. What I'm inserting, person ID, last name, first name, address, city, and I give values here. Person ID is equal to 100, last name is Tom, first name is Richardson, and I give address and Westward. Now again do a select start from testdb.persons. You see that now previously it was empty row. Now one row has been selected. One row has been created database. Again, I have insert two more rows. Similar way, I'm inserting two more rows. I'm trying to open one more time. So I had some technical issue, but finally I was able to insert two more rows. So let's select star from testdb.persons. So finally I have stored three rows into a database. Whenever you want to insert, you can insert any more rows. All you need to type is this is syntax and you change the values here. Change the values. 300 can be replaced by some other number. John Erickson is the last name, address, and Westward, your city, wherever you want to do. So that you can replace the data. You can insert the data how much you want. Even if you close this one, and even if you're going to stop your database, even if you stop your database, everything has been stopped. Now again, if you start your database and start your database again, so database started now. Again, go back to your database and type your password and select star from testdb dot PRSON persons. You still see the data is available. Means that database always store your data persistently, always, even your computer is restarted. And again, you log into database, you will store this information. So now what we did is that so far we have installed a MySQL database and we have inserted the rows, some rows, and we executed the select a star from testdb. We have done all these things. Now we need to connect to this database through Java program. So main purpose of what we are doing is in our in the JDBC, ODBC, we've been talking about is we were like here. We want to connect from our database to drivers. This is what we are trying to do. So we have a Java application and we have a database. Now we need to establish the communication from there to here. So the reason I'm explaining database here now is that we want to test our Java code connecting to database. So that is the reason I have spent time and installing a free version of database, which is the MySQL, and we created a one table here, and we talked about it. Now, next part is now to connect to Java code. I told about we needed drivers. How to connect? I told type 1 driver, and we talked about type 2 drivers, and we talked about type 3 drivers, and we talked about type 4 driver. So now I am downloading a type 4 driver, Java thin driver. I'm downloading this Java thin driver, and now let's see how to download this. Now again, if you go to my program in my slide here, click on this link, copy this link, and click on this link, and then copy this link and go to browser and download the type 4 driver. So MySQL community download this is, select a platform independent, because if you're connecting to the Ubuntu operating system, we need a different driver. If you're using a Red Hat Linux operating system, a different drivers. But we take a platform independent driver, means it will work any platform. The reason we have different drivers, these are the native to those platforms. They might be a little bit of much good performance. We take a platform independent, it works in any platform. It works in Windows, it works in Mac computer, it works in Linux computer, everywhere. It has been totally written in Java. So I take this platform independent zip file, I downloaded this, click on the download. Same thing, you don't need to log in. Just click and start. No thanks, just start my download. It will download your driver. So I have already downloaded my driver in my computer. If you see that my driver is downloaded here, and I have extracted this folder again. After I extracted my folder here, and let me extract this folder. So I'm extracting my folder. So I have extracted my folder, and let me open what it is the driver contains. So I extracted my folder here. Within that folder, you see a lot of data, and this is the driver source code. This has been developed by some other. So all this source code has a lot of Java code. So JDBC, socket programming, everything. So all these things has been compiled and they created like a MySQL connector J as in a JDBC4 thin driver. This is called JDBC4 thin driver. Now we have a Java application. Now we have a driver here. So I'm renamed that file to make it like simple MySQL connector, and I'm copying that into any folder. Since I'm using a training folder, I copied this folder into my training folder, and I have been storing it here. So now what we did is we have completed the database setup, and also we have completed our driver. Now we need to focus on how our Java code need to communicate with database. Now we need to develop a Java code to read the data from database. Within database, we are going to talk the test DB. Within that, there is a person table is there. Let's open the code which I have developed already, and I will share this code to you also. So I hope you are seeing. If not, zoom your computer so that you can see the each other line. Import java.sql package. So importing a SQL package because we are communicating with database SQLs. And public class test MySQL and public static void main. This is what it is, the main method. And it created a connection object and class.forName loading a driver. What I'm loading is com MySQL CJ JDBC driver. Com MySQL CJ JDBC. So com is a package, MySQL is another package, CJ is another sub package, JDBC is another sub package. Underneath the class name is driver. So generally these are the folders. These are the folders. Let's go back to your download one more time, wherever we downloaded your code, because we downloaded with complete source code also. I will connect these 2 points to you. See that we download here. So if you go to package structure, right, SRC. So com MySQL CJ and protocol. So this is the driver class. Exactly. We are opening this class. This is source code. I'm opening it. See the actual driver class they have written here. The high level they've written the driver class. I'm not going to read it. This is developed by some company called Oracle has been developed this code. So why I'm saying that what we are trying to what we are trying to do here explain here is that in the Java code we are trying to load this driver class. This class file is located within your jar file. we have downloaded a jar file here. We have stored a jar file. If you open this MySQL jar file, this jar file contains the driver information. This jar file is containing this MySQL database, this driver. So we are loading the driver into our code, and you are creating a connection object, and you see JDBC MySQL. Localhost is my computer 3306. MySQL root root and test. And I'm created a statement object, and I'm executing the select start from testdb.persons, and I'm running the code. When I run this code, I should be getting this data from our database. So here we need to understand that loading the driver and establishing the connection to the driver into the database. So JDBC MySQL localhost 3306 MySQL root and test, and create connections and executing the query. Select start from testdb.persons, and this is the system outs, and here RS is the result set, means what are the data you received. 3 rows can be in the result set. Dot next, is there any next row? It will print the rows, what are the rows in the database, and do the connections. So let me see the code in my computer. See that this is the code. MySQL, I use MySQL, actually it is MySQL 90 in my computer, because I have set up my configuration as a MySQL 90. Let me open the configurations one more time. So developer, yeah, pipe name is MySQL. Yeah, I'm using MySQL only. So let's see that I run this my Java code. Java test MySQL.java. I compile my Java class. I will run MySQL.class. So whenever I run my Java test MySQL class, I got the data, person, last name, first name, address, and city. 100 Tom Erickson, 3 Main Street, Westward. So I'm running this with the Java code. But if you want to see the same data, if you go to your directly to database and run the select start from testdb.persons. So the same data is coming for me. So this is the database directly. 100, 200, 300, 100, 200, 300, Tom, Sham, John, Erickson, everything. Suppose if we insert the data here, let me insert some more data. What will happen? Suppose I take one more row. Let's take an example here. I make it a couple of rows. I increasing the 200. So I increase 300. So I'm inserting 3 more rows into database. Go to my database directly and insert 3 more rows. I inserted 3 more rows. Let's see the select stuff. So right now I see that 100, 200, 300, 1000, 2003. So I have inserted 6 rows. Now, if I go to my code here, I run my Java code again, I should get that 6 rows back here. So my Java code is fetching the same data from database. It means that in the demonstration, what we talked about the drivers here, we have implemented this one, Java application connecting to database with a driver called Java thin driver. That is, we downloaded from the MySQL database, because whoever manufactures the database, they give a driver. Like the way if you buy a car, they give a manual. If you buy a database, they will give a drivers how to connect to my driver. Since it is a free version database, we have used it, and they also provided drivers, free drivers. And now we develop a Java code to connect to this driver to database, because Java code cannot understand how to talk with the database. This driver understand how to talk with database. In order this driver to connect to this database, we need to let the driver know what database server is. That is the reason in our code, we are mentioning that, what we are mentioning is that here I'm letting the driver manager, he connect to JDBC MySQL protocol. This is again protocol. We talked about TCP/IP protocol. They talk with JDBC protocol. Localhost is my computer, is a local host to this, and port is 3306. Port is 3306. You see my configurations dialog box we have done in the past. If you see, open the configurations dialog box here one more time. I'm opening the config. So here you see here, port is 3306, and I gave a name, his MySQL. That's where MySQL, and we set a password also. We set the password previously, root, user is root, and password is test. And same information we need to provide in the connection. Localhost is my computer IP address. If suppose I have installed this database in your computer, so it is located in India or in China or in Japan, that computer has an IP address. I need to provide IP address here of that computer, and the port number, and the database name, and the account user ID password. Suppose if I change it to test123, I'm giving wrong password. Let me, what will happen? Let me compile my code again. So I compile my code and run my code program. Access is denied for user, root and localhost using the password. Password is using it, yes, but my access is denied. It means that the password I have submitted is wrong. Communication has been blocked by the database. So since it is that my password is test, then only it will work. Suppose I give the port number. I gave port number is 1. I gave port number underscore 999. I gave a wrong port. Again compile my code. Again I run my code. It shows an error. Could not create a connection to database server, because my Java code not able to understand where is the database is listening. It is listening on the 993306. Then only it can understand it. I am listening on the 3306. It's like a door to my home. This is the door to port number. You see that I type a connect in my computer netstat. When I keep netstat, I see that my computer is connected a lot of ports it is communicating. It is used the port number 5933, 5933, 59640, 59636. It is using multiple ports, my computer, to connecting with the different things. Even if you type in your open your Windows command prompt, type netstat, you will see that a lot of ports has been working for you. Means whenever you open a Word, whenever you open a PowerPoint, whenever you open any application in your computer, it creates a ports inside that. If someone wants to talk, outside people only, not always. So this is the port 3306. MySQL, we talked about MySQL. It is the database name we created. Even if you give this wrong name, 123, and recompile my code again one more time, and my connection will not be succeeded because unknown database. I don't know who you are. MySQL 123. We know under this port, I know only MySQL. It is again. So 3306 is entering into our home. It's just a kind of home address. You can think about it. Underneath there could be some other apartments. This is the root, and test is your key to enter into database, into your home, something like that. This is all the address. Like the way home has address, database also have address. Host, local host, computer name where the database is running, and port, kind of a street number you can think as a simplicity, and database is your street name, you can think about it, and this is the key, usually password is the key to enter into a home. And this is a JDBC. MySQL is a kind of a protocol to connect to database. Why you need to give? Because of this driver. This driver, it knows how to connect now. You loaded this driver. So all I'm trying to do is here in the high level diagram, which I've explained to you, a Java application, letting the driver know, hey driver, this is the local host port 3306, MySQL database, user ID is root and password is test. Then this driver try to connect it to this database. Now Java application is connected to this driver is connected to this database. Then we execute a commands, SQL commands. Database can understand a language called SQL. The way we speak English language we understand, database understand a programming language called SQL. Now Java need to talk in a language which database can understand. So that is the reason we are issuing a commands, SQL commands, with help of a Java commands. And as soon as we issue it, the data is coming back into in a Java class called result set. If you open the result set API, Java API, if you go to the Java API of result set, Java API. So you see that java.sql package, and result set has a methods. You can get a result set, always a result of the set, means you get the data out from the database. So this is a overview of, we talked about JDBC concepts. Let's brainstorm one more time. What we discussed is, so we talked about SQL packages, and each helps to connect to database. And we have a drivers type 1, 2, 3, 4. Each driver has advantage, disadvantages. Most of the time in the organization, they use a type 4 driver. And we see the JDBC architecture. Java application is a top. We use a JDBC API. We have a drivers and we connect to database. This is the driver. This is a java.sql package, which is the result set. Everything is available. We wrote a Java code. This is a high level architecture to connect to database from Java application. Then we talked about what kind of driver, and type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 driver, where we are more focused. This is how the industry is using it, type 4 driver. And afterwards, we focus of installing this database. We focus of installing this Java driver, and we focus of writing this Java code also. And we downloaded the database. We downloaded the database need the software. We downloaded it, which is the VC redistribution 64exe. Then afterwards, we first install the software RC VC redistribution x64exe. Then we install the MySQL driver, MySQL database. Then we configure the MySQL database. Then we have downloaded the driver, actual driver. Then we created this SQL commands to in the database to create a data. Then afterwards, we try to run the program to connect the data Java program to database. So we linked these many concepts together to make this work. The real example, in your mailbox, you click a mail, you get a mail. Whenever you send an email, it goes to mail. So whenever you see in the inbox, you click a mail, you see a lot of emails, data is coming, right? The data will come from database and it will format for you in such a way that you click the open, you read the mail. But the content, mail body, mail subject, from address to address, everything is coming from a database table. That database table, it stores like this information. So this is the concluding my understanding about share the knowledge to everyone how Java program can connect to the database. So if you have any questions, we can discuss now.